Hey guys, welcome to stream. We're about running an hour late today. I guess I was catching up on sleep. Anyway, let's get on with this. Now, the first thing that we want to do is take a look at the stuff we were doing last night, which is this here, which we are basically spawning in our different types of resources. At this point it is only 2, but it is all working nicely. Now the point is we want a sort of reference number for how many we're actually spawning. Okay, so what I'm going to do is at the end of all our spawns we're going to do a get all actors of class, and it's going to be our BP minerals. Okay, so we'll do get minerals, then we'll do a length. I suppose we might as well do it right, so we'll do a -1, and then we're going to do an append to a string. Then we're going to do lots of spaces, so we move out into the center of the screen so that we can see it properly, and then we shall do a print string. Okay, then we shall change that to 30 seconds, then we shall change the color to white, then we shall plug it in. So this is going to tell us exactly how many we are actually spawning at this point. And then that gives us an idea of, without any kind of optimization, it's going to basically tell us what our maximum number to spawn is. Okay, and we didn't plug it in. What an idiot. Okay, right, so here we go. We should also check out how long it's actually taking us to spawn these. It's under 10 seconds, I know that. So right, and we spawned 1931. Now the interesting thing is that's 1931, but it is multiply that by 43, right? And basically we're getting we are spawning 90,000 rocks. Okay, now the interesting thing is we should check if these are colliding with anything, and if they are, then we should delete them. Okay, so let's do that. So collision override, do not spawn. Okay, so this should pull it down a little bit, but we should still get, it was 1931, right? Now this is based on a random number, but this should definitely come down a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. And then we can actually see if anything collides, and it doesn't. Right? So what we actually need to do here is we need to go into our minerals and switch on our collision. Now the thing is here that if we do this and we can use the collision in the first instance and then we can switch it off, okay, or change the profile. And we're still overlapping and it's still basically building these. So we're going to have to generate overlap events. And we can take it from there. Now, I think what we're going to do here these are still doing that, which is interesting. So what we'll do is we shall do a block all. Right, that just takes time to check different things out to see how this is going to work. But what I think is we shall actually pinpoint areas. Right, so that's working. Right, because you'll notice that there's nothing touching this and there's nothing touching this, and we're down to 1100. Right, so obviously that has speeded stuff up. Okay, so like the more terrain we put in, like this stuff, hills and stuff, then the less these are going to actually be spawned. Right, so you'll notice that there's nothing spawning here or over the mountains. There's nothing spawning here. Right, but and we're getting much less, so that was like 11,000, right? So let's see again, if we do that again, what sort of numbers we get. And I'm hoping for about 1100 again. Yep, 1102. Right, so it was nearly identical, which is right. Right, so there's nothing getting spawned here on the mountain tops, right, which is exactly what we want. Right, but, and here's the big but. What I need to do is check that these are actually in the right place. And they are, look at that. It's perfect mapping. Okay? Now, at this point, what I want to say is that if we probe at this point, we don't know what this mineral actually is, even though we actually do, right? Because we know that's an iron, we know that's a copper, right? But the point here is that you're going to have to probe this area to find out what this is, right? So maybe when we do this, we shall make this like a default rock, right? That doesn't show us what the actual rock is. Okay, so all you'll see are these rocks that all look the same, but we don't know what they are. Okay? But, as well as that, what we actually want to do here is clump some of these together, right? So what I propose for this is if we select a spot, right, then we basically pick a number to find out how big it basically is. And then we build round about it that number. Okay? So let's try something like that and see how it goes. Okay? So if we go back to our minerals and we look at our spawn, that's loading the rocks, and this isn't our actual thing. What we need is our comp component which does this. Okay, so the point is, let's say, hi IT Angel, how you doing, mate? So let's say we've got a centre spot. Now this is actually quite interesting because we've got the black squares here to give us a guide to what we want. So say this one is selected, right? Then we can basically say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Right? So we can basically say if we pick this spot, we can have up to 23 adjoining spots. Okay? Right? So with that in mind, let's think about how we do this. Right, what we'll do is we shall add a variable, and then what we'll do is we'll add its position, or its, not its position, but the difference between it and the center point. Okay, so we'll say, we'll call it R. Okay, that didn't work for some reason. That reset it there. So we'll say R rock positions, right? And we know we're going to have 23. Okay, now we could calculate these, but we'll do it with an array first, just to find out what's going on. Okay, so position 0 is going to be 0, 0. Okay, then position 1 is going to be 500 on the Y. And in fact, you know, the best thing to do here is just go 1. Right? So this is position 0, 0. This is position 1. This is position 2. So that's going to be 1 and 1. Right? This is going to be position number 3. So that's going to be 1, 0. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this out. Hi Red Eyes, how are you, mate? How are you doing today? I'm fine. Running a bit late. Had a beer last night, so it's a bit cloudy up in my head but we're getting there. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4. So 4 is going to be 1 and negative 1. Then the next one is going to be 0 and negative 1. So imagine this is the center. Then we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So position 6 is going to be negative 1, negative 1. And position 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we'll just keep ourselves right, is negative 1, 0. Negative 1, 0. So the final position in the first circumference is going to be negative 1, 1. Okay? So what we can do is, we're not quite ready to test this out yet because it's going to go absolutely bonkers. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this at position 0, right? So what we're going to actually do is we're going to break this here, and then we're going to look at some possibilities up here. Now we are going to put it back in a loop, right? But we don't want it to go in a loop right now. But we want it to drop on a particular position, okay, so that we can see what it's doing. So let's have a think about this. Right, so we get this array, right, and we do for each. Whoops. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the array index, and then if it's greater than 0, we're going to do a check on it. But if it's 0, we always do it. We always spawn it. Okay, so we're going to branch that. Okay. Then we're going to copy this. This is going to take us a little while just to get our bearings on this one. Right. So we'll not use these min maxes at the moment, right? But we are going to use them once we start looping, okay? And we are going to spawn this. So what we're going to say in this instance is we're going to get this. Okay, we're not. What we're going to do is we're going to get this. Then we're going to break it. And then we're going to multiply whoops. Okay, what are you doing? Right. We're going to multiply these two by 500 because that's the size of our mineral. Okay, and then we're gonna, well, this isn't going to do anything, right? But what we're going to be doing is we're going to make a vector, right? And this is our spawn point, but we're just using it at the moment. And in fact, we don't need this at all, right? Because at the moment we're going to use the vector, and 0.0 multiplies it by 0. So you'll get 0 times 500, which is 0. And then we're going to split this, right? And then we're going to add this, right? And then we're going to do the same with y. Okay. Then we're going to plug in x and we're going to plug in y. And then if we check here, these have only got x and y, so that's fine. And then basically we can do the same thing as here, and we should basically get 9. Right? And these are going to get placed at position 0, 0. So I'm guessing that was in the wrong place, right? 0, 0 is right on top of that hill. So if it basically, what we can do is we can put, let's say 2000, should move it out the way a bit. Right, so we'll try that. Okay, so where is it? Okay, so that was possibly completely in the wrong place. So we'll make it minus and minus. Okay. There's one. Okay. So we'll get it to spawn. Actually, you know what we'll do here? We'll do that. Just in case this is actually... There we go. Okay. So that's cool. So these were basically colliding with the ground. In some way. So what we could actually do is we could get it to spawn at 3, which is above the ground. That's not really going to do anything if we read on it, but the point is that this should spawn everything again, because it shouldn't be colliding with anything. Right? But it still is. That's interesting. We can say 4. Huh. I can only imagine this is colliding. Ah, wait a minute. If I check the BP mineral, right, and we look at the box, you'll notice that the collision goes under the ground, right? So that is actually not ideal for us. So we need a... it's interesting, it isn't under the ground. Here is our default. And our box is definitely not. We can definitely change this a bit. Right, and we can have that above ground. Right, let's say 25. And that is definitely above ground, right? So it shouldn't be the box. The box should not be colliding with anything. Now, we can set it up to ignore the landscape anyway, but it is still colliding. Let's see what it's colliding with, shall we? Right, so if we go to here, now and we probably haven't got an event tick because we stay away from them, but if we actually add one in, is overlapping get overlapping actors, right? Right, so we don't want, we just want to basically get whatever overlapping actors, say for each loop. Right, and then display name, then print string, okay, and then if we go back to our comp and we say spawn anyway, it's overlapping the rocket launcher. Yeah, because this has got like a huge thing. This has got like a huge big radius. Right, so wait a minute. So actually, what I'll do have we got an always spawn? No, we'd have to see what it's colliding with, right? And if it's colliding with the rocket launcher, we'd just say, well, this is actually a moot point because you'll never spawn because there would never be a rocket launcher there to start with, right? So that's a kind of weird one. So what we'll do is we'll go to here and we shall remove the rocket launcher. Wherever it is, up here I think, yeah. Or what we could do is basically move it right out the way. Right, so it's never going to spawn there. Hey Cam, Karabakak. How you doing, mate? Okay, so we can go back to our main menu, and now this should spawn without a hitch. And you'll notice it's not colliding with anything. Okay, so that's cool. So if we go back to here, this is all fine now. And if we go back to the mineral, we can basically take this event tick off. Now, we've got a couple of things to do here. Number one, let's explain it. Right, the idea here is that if we do a clump, we do a clump of one type of ore. Okay, so this should either be all iron or all copper. It shouldn't be a mixture. Okay. Now the next point is let's have a think about this. And let's actually do our next set of stuff. So the next one is going to be 0 and 2. And then we're going to have 2 and 2. Right? So it's going to be here, which is point number 9. And then this one is actually not going to be 2 and 2. It's going to be 1 and 2. Right? And then we're going to have 2 and 2. Okay? Then 12 is going to be 2 and 1. Okay. So that is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is going to be 2 and 0. And then 14 is going to be 2 minus 1. Okay. And then 15, so we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is going to be, sorry, we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's going to be 2 minus 2. And then we're going to have 1 minus 2. Then 0 minus 2. Then minus 1 minus 2. Then minus 2 minus 2, and then we need 3 more. Then we're going to have minus 2 minus 1 minus 2, 0, minus 2, 1. Then we're going to add 1 more. Okay, so that's went a bit wrong. Except it hasn't. So that's going to be minus 2, 2. And then I think we're going to have 1 more, which is going to be this one here. Right? So we're going to add 1 more. How come that didn't add one? According to that, it did. Okay, whatever. Then we're going to have minus 1, 2. Oh, sorry, that's minus 1, 2. Okay, now that the first part was these to here, then the next part was the outside to here. Okay, so we should basically have a 3 by 3. Okay, and there you go. Right, 1, 2, actually we've got a 5 by 5. Yeah, the first set gives us a 3 by 3, second set gives us, extends it out to 5 by 5. Okay, pretty cool, huh? So with that in mind, what we need to do is, I think what we're going to need to do here is create some sort of a structure so that we can tell what has been spawned. And then we base our next, the one adjacent to it, on whether it has been spawned or not. And then we check the ones around it. When we're spawning the ones around it, we check if that has been spawned. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, if we spawn this, then there is X percent chance that the ones around it are spawned. Okay? And we go from there to say, if this one hasn't been spawned, then we definitely can't spawn that one. Okay? And then we maybe say that there's only a lesser chance that these are spawned. Okay? So basically what we should get is that the outer ones are the least likely to spawn, especially if the one next to it hasn't been spawned. Okay? So basically we probably need to turn this into a struct of some kind. And then work everything out, but not spawn anything till we have decided whether we're going to spawn that particular thing. Okay? But in the meantime, what we shall do is we shall give it a 50-50, right? So we'll say int in range. Okay, so that's not what we wanted. In range. So random integer in range. Okay. And we'll say between 0 and 1. Right? And what we'll do is we'll say 0 will always spawn. Okay? So if this is greater than 0, So we'll branch to there. Okay. So if it's false, it's always going to go to there. Right, and we say this one is greater than 0. Then we branch again. Now this is the very fundamentals of the random spawn first, right? Oops. So we're going to say, we can say either, it doesn't really matter, right? We could say true or false, it's still going to be 50%, right? So what we should see now is if our clump, well, our clump is going to spawn, right? But this is our center point, right? And we can see that all the stuff round about is going to do that, right? So basically what we can do is, we're probably better with a button here. We don't know what the center point is here. It could be here, it could be here, right? But you'll see that we're now getting a pattern. Right? This is obviously the center point here. Now, if we bump this, right, to say between 0 and 3, and then we say it's greater than 0, that's going to give us like a 75% chance that it's going to spawn. So in effect, we should get more. And I'll tell you what we'll do is, we'll set this to, let's say, 10,000. And we shall see, because we want to just basically spawn it right on top of ourselves so we can see what's going on. Right, so if it's way to the left, okay, so where did our, it's just a different way of coding, Cam. Right, so it's away the wrong way. Right, so what we can do is we can basically say this was minus 2000, so we can actually just say that, and I think it should be down here. Yeah, it is. Right, so we can stop that and we can get that to 8000. Cam, you can program in C++ if you like. It's just a matter of, this is much easier for prototyping and getting it up running fast. But it's really up to yourself. The way that Epic decide to do things, it's the way you're supposed to do it is a mix of both. Right, so there we go. We can get it to spawn directly on ourselves. Now you'll notice, oops, shouldn't have done that. Anyway, yeah. So you'll notice we've got a lot less. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 missing. 8 missing out of 25. If we do it again, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. But again, we're gradually getting this to work how we want it to work. Well, I can show you. If we do this, right, you can, and there are, I have got some like helper files and stuff. So there you go. Some C++, you might be a bit more comfortable seeing that. Right? But yeah, you can do either or both. As I said, Epic actually say kind of use both. I use it a bit, but not very much. I'm not a C++ guy. Right, so anyway, now what we need to do is we need to calculate how we're going to do this. Right, and then we are going to have to change the way that we spawn the mineral. Okay, but this would be the beginnings of what I think will be the way I actually spawn it. Right, so we can definitely go about this like this. We can just expand on our way of spawning and carry on with that. So what we'll do is we shall go for a cigarette. So if you're enjoying the stream or whatever, hit the like and subscribe. Check out the description for ways to support the channel. You can join the Discord, and I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. So let's carry on with this. I'm kind of procrastinating over it, to be honest, because I know this is the way to go, but it's like I need to do numbers and stuff, right? But let's get this a bit more how we want it. Because at the end of the day, the funny thing is, that this is only going to actually run once, right, at the start of a level. Right, so it's kind of, right, so we'll procrastinate a bit more by tidying things up that we don't need to, because that's what we're doing. Right. This is all going to change anyway because it's going to depend on whether or not right, okay. So what we're going to have to do is, this is me thinking off the top of my head and it's not the best way to do it, right? But we might do a little bit of je ne sais quoi. We've got our components, right, and I didn't put that here. I put this in the minerals, which is good because all of this stuff can go, right? This was really related to a different thing, right? So what we need is a struct, and it's going to be a struct mineral spawner it's going to be like presets. Okay, and it's going to be X, Y, X, Y position, right? And this is going to be the endpoint. It's just endpoint. Okay. And then we are going to have dependencies, and that's going to be an integer, right? And just for the sake of completeness, we'll say base chance to spawn. Okay, and then for super completeness, we shall say ring number. Okay, so like ring number is going to be which ring, what sort of virtual ring this is going to be, right? So I'll show you on this. right? So what I mean by that is position 0, 0 is this ring here, right? Then this values 1 to 8, index 1 to 8 are going to be ring 1, right? And then the outer ring is going to be ring 2, okay? And then the dependencies, like this is going to have a dependency on that, that's going to have a dependency on that, and that, blah, blah, blah. But this one is going to have a dependence on this one, and this one, and this one. Okay? And then we'll work out something that says the number of these that are spawned give this a higher chance of spawning, right? But if this is a definite not spawn, then this will not spawn, right? So we'll work this out as we go along, but that's the general idea here. So we might need one more. We might, yeah, we'll have dependencies, right? And then what we'll have is a related, okay? So the dependence will just be 1, right? And if that dependence has not been spawned, we won't spawn the other one, okay? But the related is going to be this one plus anything else that's touching it, that's inside it, and that's going to give it a higher chance to spawn, right? So this is going to be an array, okay? So we shall save that. And then what we'll do is we shall create a data table. Oh yes, we love a good data table. Right. We'll OK that, and then we'll call this DT. And then it's going to just do some strange stuff, so we'll rename it. And it's going to be DT underscore mineral spawner presets. Okay, then we're going to open that, and then in the first instance, right, we're going to actually drag this off. Then we're going to go here, we're going to click on our rock positions, and then we're going to basically add these in, right? So this is going to be 0, 0. So we'll do this first, right? And the base chance to spawn is going to be 100, right? So that is always going to spawn. The ring number is 0, and it's going to have 0 related to it, okay? So we add again, and we basically say 0, 1, and it's going to be ring 1, right? Just so we know where it is. We're not going to do any of these things just now. Okay, actually let's just put in 60. And the dependence is going to be 0. Okay? So our first 8 Hi Jameson, how you doing, mate? I'm busy concentrating, so if you typed that in a while ago, I'm sorry if I missed it. Right, so we'll duplicate that, and then we know that's 1, 1. Then we can duplicate that, and for these rows, what we'll do is we'll do this so that they tie in with the array numbers here. Okay, so we know that we want 25, right? So number 3 is going to be 1, 0, and we'll leave that all the same. Then we shall duplicate that, and this is going to be 1 minus 1. So we're just basically copying these across, but we're going to work in our actual random spawner to be able to actually work with these and give us what we actually want. Right, so we'll say 5, and number 5 is 0 minus 1. Then we'll add another one, and that's going to be 6. And that's going to be minus 1, minus 1. And that's going to be 60, let's say, and 1. Then we'll duplicate that. This is going to be 7, so it's minus 1, 0. That stays the same. Then we duplicate that, and this is number 8. Which is minus 1, 1. Right, and now we move on to the outer ring. Right, so the first thing we'll do is we'll do that, and then it's 0, 2, so that's 0, 2, and then this one is going to be the first one with a dependency that's not 0. It's actually going to be 1. Okay? And related is actually going to be 2 and 8. Okay, so once again, right, we've got this one, and its dependent is this one, and its related are these two. Okay, now don't ask me how I'm working this out. This is just all going on in my head, right? So there's no rhyme or reason to this apart from the fact that I've just put something together in my head that I think might work. Okay, this might end up as being a crock of shit, but so the ring is going to be 2, right? Because remember, it is the outside ring. Okay, we've got 0, 1, 2. The ring goes like that. Right, the inner ring goes like that, and the very inner ring is just this one. Okay, so if we duplicate that, we're now at 10, which is 1 and 2. Right, now the dependency is going to be slightly different. right? Because it's this one here. So the dependency is going to be this one. So that's 0, 1, 2. So the dependency is going to be 2. Right? And we're only going to have 2 for this. Right? Which is 1 and 2. Right? So dependencies for this is going to be 1 and 2. Or related. Okay? Well, right, okay, we might work on this one, right? But this is what it's going to be, base values, right? So this is 10, this is 11. So 11 is 2, 2. Right? So that's 9, 10, 11. Right? So the dependent is going to be that one, which is 2 again, but the related are going to be 10 and 12. Which are actually the outside ones here on the outside ring. Okay? Yeah, it's getting a bit complicated, isn't it? But hey ho. Well, we duplicate that. This becomes 12. And it's 2 and 1. It would have been handy to actually draw like a representation of this, but I wouldn't be able to have it on the screen at the same time. But anyway, 12, 2, 1. Right, we've done that one. So we duplicate this one, and we say 13, and it's 2, 0. Right, so we're on number 13, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. So our dependent is 3. And our related are 2 and 4. Okay. So we add again. Okay, we didn't want to do that, but hey ho. 14, 2 minus 1. Minus 1. Ring number is 2. And probably we want to bring this down to 40. Right, so I think what we'll do is we'll pull that down to 40, and then we'll change all of these to 40. We can adjust these later. And because we have the ring number, we could actually do it programmatically inside the actual thing, right? Okay, this should be 40. So we're on 14. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're on the corner here. So dependency is actually 4. And this is actually back to 2. Then this is actually 4. And its dependencies are 12 and 14. And the thing here is that we might actually have to kind of spawn everything first and then find out if everything else has been spawned. Okay. So we shall duplicate that, and we're now on 15. So 15 is 2 minus 2. Right, and its dependency is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then its thing is going to be 4 and 6. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is duplicate again. This is 16, and we're going 1 minus 2. So we're on 16. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right? So its dependency is 1, 2, 3, 4. And its related are, let's say, this one and this one. Right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 17. Okay, now this isn't quite making, there's one little bit that isn't making sense yet. So that's 17. And 17 is 0, 2. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So its dependency is 5. And that's going to be 4 and 6. Okay. Duplicate that, and this is number 18. 6 to go, not that many to go. 18 minus 1. Dependency is going to be 6. And related are going to be 5. And actually the one before it. So we're going to go 17. I'm changing my tact a bit on this one, right? Because I think that everything that's going to be dependent is going to have to be a lower number than the one we're doing, or that won't have spawned yet, so it's always going to say 0 because it's never spawned. So for the likes of this one, which is 11, we've got a dependency of 12, right? But that can't really be true, right? We're going to have to do something slightly different for that, right? But we'll take a look at it once we move through this bit by bit, okay? So we'll go back to here, duplicate that, and now we're on number 19, right? Which is -2, which is the one right in the corner. Okay, so dependency is actually going to be, let's have a look at it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is going to be 6. Right? So imagine that dependencies are actually only going to be this one, right? Which is the one below. So we can delete that one and we can say 18. Okay? Then we can duplicate this, and this is 20, and it's -2, -1. Right, and again, the dependency is 6. But this time it's going to be this one, right? So the dependencies can be the one previous and the one above, right? So we're going to say 19 and 7, okay? So what we'll do is we'll actually change that to 19, and we'll change that to 7. Then we'll duplicate that, and then we're on row 21. We're not going to use these rows, well, we're going to use these rows for the dependency, okay? So we're on row 21, which is -2, 0. Right, so let's count this out again. So we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Right? So our dependency is going to be 7. Okay. If I'd have drawn this out beforehand, this would have been a lot easier. Right. So our other ones are 6 and 8. So our related are 6 and 8. 6 and 8. Okay. We can duplicate that, and this is going to be 22. So 22 is -2, 1. Right, this is still going to be the same. But our related is going to be 6 and 21. Well, actually, wait a minute. So it's this one here, right? So that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be 8 in the one before. So So we say 8, and the one before is 21. Okay, so we duplicate that, and we say 23, and 23 is minus 2, 2. Right? And that's dependency is 8. Right? And in this corner here, we're only going to have one dependence, which is going to be the one before. So we can delete that, and we can say 22. Okay, then we can duplicate that, and we can say 24, and this is the last one, which is minus 1. So if this is the center, it's this one we're talking about, right? So we can say dependence is 1, and then we can say the related is this one and this one, right? So that's 9, it's 8 and 9. Okay, that should be us in view. Well, for the first round of testing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're not going to do anything with our with related, okay? So what we're gonna say is data table, right? What we're going to do is we're going to change this. We'll leave this one for now, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create another variable, and it's going to be our data table positions, okay? And this is going to be of the type struct mineral spawner presets. Okay, and then what we're going to do is for each then we're going to say data table, get data table row, right? So we're basically just going to transfer the data from a data table into our DT mineral presets, DT mineral presets. We're just going to basically pass our data table stuff into here, okay? So we're going to get that, and then we're going to add Then for each row found, we're just going to add this to here, right? And that's us for that. Then this is going to go into here. Okay. And then we're going to grab this. And then we're going to for each. Then we're going to drag that in there. And we don't actually need this anymore. But we'll leave it there for now. Right? But what we're going to do is we're going to say break that. Then we're going to drag off here and we're going to break that. And then these are actually going to go in here. Right? And for the moment, we'll leave it there and we'll try it. Right? It's going to give us that 25% chance again. But and there we go. Not ideal, but let's see what we've done wrong. It seems to be right. Oh yeah. Right, it'd be help if I actually joined it up. Right. So what we could actually do in this case is say 100. So we say 1 and 100. And then we change this to less than this. Then we plug this in here. Right, so this is our base chance to spawn. And there we go. Okay. So we can stop that, try it again. There we go. This is the center point. Now we're not doing anything with dependencies, so obviously we're not getting a pattern yet. We're just getting a basic random thing. Right? But so there's one thing I've completely forgot about. Right? And that is we need to slightly change our struct. We need one more variable, right? And that variable is has spawned, right? And that is going to be a bool, and it's also going to be a single variable. And this is going to tell us when we check the other like dependency, right, if this particular one has actually spawned. Okay? So from that, what we can do is we can go back here, and if it does spawn, right, we can check this out. So what we'll do is we'll start getting rid of this stuff, right, that we don't really need. Okay? So we don't need this either. Right? So we can start tidying this up. And this can go as well. So we can tidy that up, and I believe we don't even need these anymore. But we might, so we'll keep that in mind. Okay, so what we got here, we've got this, and then this has given us our position. We're going to have to actually do this as well, but that's going to give us the right start. So if we do this now, it should give us the same result, but that's what we want. Right? So it did. Right, so we're good. So the next thing is, if it spawns, right, we want to grab this, right, and we want to set an array element, right, and we want to make that right. Now we're going to be getting this, and this is going to go in here. Then we're going to get this, and we're going to say set members. Right, we're going to say has spawned equals true. Right, and then this struct out is going to go in here. Okay, so that is going to go here. So if we spawn it, we set the index of the current one we're doing, we get it, and then we update ARDT positions to say, yep, we spawned that, right? So now what I can do is I can check the dependencies to actually find out if we spawned it, or if that dependency has spawned, Okay? So from here, we can do this in either or order, but we'll do it up here just to be correct about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a copy, right? And we're going to get our dependency, right? And then we're going to break this, and we're going to do has spawned, right? And then we're going to branch off this. And if it's true, we're going to spawn this. Okay? So this is going to go to here. And now we should start getting a pattern. Okay? So now I am guessing we're going to say, can we say it is, and we can't say is that valid. Right, we might have to put in our okay. Right, so what if that is greater than 0, then we branch. Right, because we have to spawn the first one for any others to spawn. So that actually worked, right? And if that is false, then we go into here. And there you go. You'll notice that they're all connected now, right? They all have to be connected. Right? And there we go. There's the center point. And as you can see there, guys, that's actually looking pretty darn good. I am severely happy with this. This is working better than I expected. Okay. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Yep, because this is not spawned, then we don't get anything over here. Same there. But because this is spawned, we get these here, and this is excellent. Yep, I'm loving this. Yep, definitely loving this. Could do this all day now, just pressing that button and watching the pattern. This is the center point here. Because this spawns, this can spawn, this can spawn. Right. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. I can't believe this is perfect, and it's perfect even with the fact that that shouldn't have spawned. But hey, even a little outlier like that isn't a bad idea, you know? Even some strange little outlier. For the most part, it's working exactly how I would expect it to work, right? But that little outlier where there was one kind of not connected to anything actually made it kind of good. This is awesome. I'm loving this. Now, I mean, the thing is that what you could do is you could spread this out to a fourth and fifth ring, right? And continue on with the logic the way it was doing it, right? And it would give you like a bigger amount, right? But this is still excellent. Right, it's given us a random pattern. It kind of makes sense, right? For the most part, all of the seams are joined up in some way, right? So from a real world point of view, it's making sense. From looking at it, it looks good, right? Now we do need to make it that each one that is created is the same, you know, it's the same ore type. But yeah, this is working an absolute treat. And obviously, well, we're only spawning a small amount, but because we're going to spawn in like areas rather than randomly across the map, we're going to have these splodges across the map everywhere, right? Then it's going to work absolutely perfectly. Alright. So on that note, we're going to call it for this afternoon. We will be back at 8 p.m. Central tonight. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like and subscribe button and check out the description. To support the channel, you can click on my previous game and add it to your wish list, which won't cost you a thing. You can join Discord, you're welcome there, and you can financially help by hitting the Patreon or actually buying my previous game. So thanks for joining, hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall see you at 8 p.m. Central. Bye bye for now.